Hello and welcome to another True North Auto video. Today we're going to be going over the basics of powder coating. We've got pretty much everything we need set up here and we're going to figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing, I've never done this before. If you're watching this video, you've probably also never done this before, but you want to learn. Stay tuned. So the first step to do before you powder coat anything is you have to make sure that the surface is nice and clean. You can do that either by hand sanding, using a grinder, belt sander, pretty much whatever you have. Luckily, we have a sandblaster, which makes cleaning up parts a breeze. And as soon as it comes out of the blaster, you want to wipe it down with acetone to remove any extra dust or grease that's on there, and it's ready to be sprayed. When you're wiping the parts down, you want to make sure that you use a microfiber towel too, because if you use a regular paper towel, it's going to kind of disintegrate on it and leave behind remnants of the paper towel material, which obviously you don't want going in an oven. Alright, so now that we have our part all free of grease, sandblasted up, wiped down with acetone, it's ready to be sprayed. Now, the spray gun that I went for was the Eastwood PCF 250 dual voltage system. I think it was around like $120-ish, and it has very good reviews. The dual voltage system allows you to control better, powder adhesion, technically, how the powder will kind of stick to the part as you're spraying. You want to use less voltage for smaller parts and kind of like tight angles in the part, and higher voltage for larger surface area parts. So I'm told. We're going to figure it out. Now I also have an extraction fan set up because I was worried about dust flying around too much. I don't want to make too much of a mess in here. So basically what you do is you use a tack spray, spray it on this filter, turn on the fan. This is just a box fan from Walmart that Eastwood's kit works with. It's all just kind of riveted together. So you turn the fan on. It extracts the powder gets stuck to this filter with the tack spray, and nice and clean. Now, for the powder, I've chosen to go, or at least to practice, with a cheap gloss black. I think it was like $10 a pound from Prismatic Powders. Eastwood also does sell powder, but I had to get a special color for the calipers that are on my car that I want to do. And Prismatic Powders had that color, Eastwood didn't, so I just did my entire order through Prismatic Powders. They have a lot of different powders. Personally, I think they offer a much better range than Eastwood, but again, neither here nor there. And it's also very nice because the powder on the packet will show you exactly what the cure schedule is. This one is 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Now, when something like that says, here, 400 degrees for 10 minutes, it doesn't mean that it goes in the oven at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. It means that the part is 400 degrees for 10 minutes to allow proper flow out of the powder itself. Because if you just put it in the oven at 400 degrees for 10 minutes, it might not get to the actual temperature that it needs to get to in order to fully cure. Now, just for some masking some parts off, I have a green high temperature tape. Got this off of Amazon. It says it's for powder coating and it says that it can withstand 400 degrees, which is nice. I'm probably going to use this for masking off larger areas that I don't want powder to stick to. See what projects we get that require us to mask off large areas of. Now, for masking off holes and plugging them to make sure that powder doesn't get into any threads or in any holes that you don't want powder to get into, Harbor Freight has a nice little kit. They're just silicone plugs that are high temperature rated. I think it was like 12 bucks. And it should have everything that you need to kind of get started. Any bigger holes like this, you can probably just use the tape for. But these are nice because they have tapered plugs all the way down to 1/16 of an inch, so very, very tiny. For hanging the part, so for instance here, I'm going to take this, hang it up here so I can spray it. You're going to need stainless steel wire. If you use like a galvanized wire, it might mess with the grounding, so I hear. And everybody recommends you go with stainless wire. So that's what I have here, and hopefully that grounds the part properly. When you're spraying, obviously, you probably don't want to breathe the powder in, or you see a bunch of people on YouTube don't wear masks when they're spraying. I prefer to wear N95. I don't know. You think I remember this from COVID, but I guess I have COVID brain. This is just some sort of face covering, so that way I don't breathe a whole lot of powder in as I'm spraying. Again, this is a pretty small job, so I don't really think that I'm going to be breathing a lot of powder in, but if you're doing like rims or something a lot bigger, like a bumper, you probably definitely want to invest in a decent mask, so that way you're not constantly inhaling it, as it is toxic. Let's get it set up. Alright, and as I set everything up, I just want to go over kind of what we're looking at. So here we have the ground hooked up to the rod, which makes contact with the part here. You can also put the ground like on the clip and stuff. I just didn't really want to spray powder on it. And then in terms of the gun itself, you never want to fill the bottle up more than halfway. I mean, I'm not doing a really big part either, so I'm just going to fill it up that little tiny bit. So you plug this unit in, and then you have your low voltage or your high voltage, ground your part. This is your activation button, so you have to press this in order for the charge to be sent through the tip there. And then this is the power cable that goes to the gun. So basically what happens is as powder sprays out, the electric charge also pushes out of the tip, which gives a positive charge to all the powder coming out. And since it's grounded, your part is grounded, it will have a negative charge. Now positives and negatives attract, your powder sticks to the part, and then you throw it in the oven. Alright, got everything plugged in. Let's start spraying. Part is all sprayed. I forgot to mention, you need to have a pressure regulator that comes out of the gun where it meets up. And you typically want it between, I think it was like 5 and 8 PSI. You want to avoid too much powder coming out or not enough powder coming out. Hopefully it'll focus, but this is what the part looks like, just with the powder on it. Try to get a nice even coat on it. It's not too shabby. And we're getting ready to throw it in the oven. Alright, so just like the directions specified, we got the oven up to 400 degrees. Let's throw the part in. There we go. And we set the timer for 10 minutes. Psych! Just kidding. Remember what I said earlier? You gotta remember that the part has to be 400 degrees, not the timer. The only thing that matters is the temperature of the part. Temperature of the oven? Well, it kind of matters. But ultimately, 10 minutes, 400 degrees. Remember that. Remember what's specified on the label. Alright, so while we wait for the part to bake and get brought up to temperature, it's a good time to clean the gun. All you gotta do is take compressed air and just blow out all the excess powder. The reason that you want to do that is so that way the next time that you spray something, you don't get little black particles or whatever particles of previous color you were using. Because it's not really like paint where you can mix them and it'll either like slightly change the color or make it lighter, make it darker. If you spray two colors, it's going to be one area of, in our case, black, and then the other color that you spray. So yeah, gotta clean it. I also want to make a disclaimer. Do not use the oven in your kitchen. For God's sake, please. This stuff is not stuff that you want in your food. So if you're like, oh, mom's not home, I'm powder coat my brake calipers or something, do yourself a favor, find a cheap one on Marketplace and throw it in your garage or anywhere you can, because you will poison yourself if you powder coat in the oven that you also bake your Christmas ham or turkey in. It's coming up to temperature nicely, although I don't know if it's this thermometer or if it's something to do with the oven, but I'm getting some very wide ranges of temperatures in areas in the part. In one area it says that it's 400, which is right on the money, and then in another area it says that it's like 500. And I don't really think that's the case, so I might need to get a different thermometer because I don't really like how broad of a temperature range that is, and I don't think it's accurate. Especially for when I do some like more expensive stuff like brake calipers or coilover springs, valve covers. I'm going to want to know exactly the correct temperature that the part is at, as opposed to kind of just doing guesswork. So that's what we're doing. We live and we learn. And my part's ready. Alright, so then when the part is done, it's been baked for 10 minutes, you just want to leave the oven door open. You want to shut the oven off, obviously, but let the part gradually cool down, because if you do it too quick, it's going to kind of like thermal shock it and not leave a perfect coating like we all dream and desire so badly. So yeah, just turn the oven off, let it cool down for 20-30 minutes until it's you're able to touch it, and then hopefully you have a nice smooth powder coated part that you're happy about, and that everybody's gonna come up to you and say, "Oh, that looks really cool." And you're like, "Dude, thanks, I powder coated myself." I'm like, "Oh, really? Did you?" And they're gonna be like, "Dude, heck yeah." Alright, so as it cools off, we can get our first glimpse of, oops, kicking the camera here. First glimpse of how it looks. Hope we can see that here. But, oh, come on. There we go. It's not looking too bad. We'll have better info once we actually pull it out and finishes cooling off. But for now, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so the part is out of the oven, and this is the first look at how we did. Overall, not too shabby. There's some little like pinholes. Let's see if we can show it a little better here. Kind of see the pinholes there. But on the back side, this area looks really good. That's all clean. So overall, I mean, for the first time, with a very inaccurate temp reader, I'd say great success. Alright, and that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. And in the next video, we're going to try to powder coat lug nuts, I think, and figure out why we're getting some of these issues that we got with the little pinhole things. I don't know if it was probably going to be in one of 3 stages, either a prep issue, a application issue, or a baking issue. But I'll do some research and I'll see what I can find on it in case any of you beginners out there like me ran into this issue. Hopefully I can find an answer for you. But if you liked what you saw, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. And just remember, keep true north.